Shalom, my name is Yoshua Yaakov Ben Abraham, and I'm making this video from Jerusalem. We listened through the night to Barack Obama and his press conference. Another commanding performance that sounds a lot like the campaign. It's keeping those ratings very high, but he still lacks the hard power to govern, and so he's playing to the populist mandate of soft power. Well, okay, that has its limits. He's a good man. He's an honest man. He's done more in 2 months than most two-term presidents. But having said that, let's move on. First, there is the claim that there is a strategy. Well, the strategy of energy, health insurance, and education as inseparable from the economic recovery for long-term growth is generally correct, but it's weak. So let us give some strategic macro advice. Drop for now if the health insurance and the energy, because if the entire economy were to tank, energy independence and health insurance isn't going to mean much because we can't pay for either. Education, I would say, retain that and trade energy and health insurance with the Congress for a commitment to a world-class global technologic infrastructure. And it'll require a $5 trillion investment. $3 trillion will come from the G20. 2 from America. This will give the mandate for the sustainable long-term growth to grow the economy from 14 now dropped down to 13 trillion to 45 to 50 trillion. And with that will come health insurance and energy independence and the elimination of the entire deficit. That's my strategic advice to President Obama. Now, when you go to the G20 and you say that the problem of the collapse of the economy in America and the G20 is a world problem, you're absolutely right. But the cause is not economic. The crisis of culture is the cause, and it derived from man's individual, vis-a-vis Bernie Madoff and Sanford and the likes, and institutional, vis-a-vis AIG, greed, avarice, and obsession with power over others and material wealth. Okay, that has to change, okay, and so that's the function of a spiritual leader. That's what I am. And the solution, of course, is to recognize the problem, because that is the problem. That's what brought the collapse of the local reality globally. And I'm not going to talk about that, but that means the end of man and mankind's exile. And God brought that. And this induced the collapse of the world economy, all of the G20, their capital markets, etc. So reversing this and bringing about a change here is to recognize the real problem. Because when you recognize the real problem, that's the foundation for the long-term solution, and the acceptance of that solution is a new East-West convergence model, which is humanomics, and its central organizing principle, which is the new cognitive behavioral science first principle, which is receive and to give. That in particular solves the crisis of culture problem. Now, having said that, we have to not end there. We have to now address the now that we have the foundation, we have to put in place the walls and the new roof of the new building, and that's the new economic paradigm. That's the sister paradigm of receiving to give, is the integration of labor, which replaces the division of labor. And this requires a mandate to build, develop, acculturate, re-educate, and retrain the entire workforce. That is the reason that I advised President Obama, to trade health insurance and energy for the short term, drop it, and trade it for a commitment to the new economic paradigm, to humanomics in general, and its new economic paradigm, in particular the integration of labor, as new world-class global technologic infrastructure with a commitment of a 5 trillion investment over 2 decades. That will see 60% of that investment come from the G20, which is 3 trillion, and 2 trillion coming from America. And forget about AIG and bailouts and guarantees. Let these things pull back on these bailing out banks and know where you're going. The technologic infrastructure is going to create jobs massively in the tens of millions. They're going to be sustainable, platform ready, and we're going to create an entire third sector of the U.S. economy, which is human well-being, products, services from new science and technology. There will be housing, consumer spending, and human well-being services and products. That's the latter one, the human well-being sector, macro sector of the economy, will ultimately be bigger in a couple of decades as a share of GDP than housing and consumer spending put together combined. That is where we're going, and the complexities of this are daunting. Simply stated, it will be, if you take and you combine NASA, the Hoover Dam, and any other big project you can think of, like whatever, the interstate highway system. You combine all 3 of them, it's bigger than all of them combined. Landing a man on the moon, etc., etc., etc. Okay, this is what you got to do. You got to trade energy and energy independence and health insurance, but maintain the commitment to education, because it's directly the central deliverable for realizing the benefits of the global add to it the global technologic infrastructure. So you go for a world-class global technologic infrastructure based on the new model and methods of work of the new economic paradigm, and that will deliver the energy independence and the health insurance, because at the center of the new economic paradigm is a technology called the energy function of information, which is esoteric and its science is beyond this video. But this is the long-term strategy for America. And when you go to the G20 with this in your booty, you will actually have the central organizing principle of the solution. You don't have that. You claim you have a strategy, and you're vulnerable to the most fundamental question. If you have a strategy, what is its central organizing principle? And to say energy independence, health insurance, and education are going to be the foundation of long-term growth, that's not correct. And so trade, upgrade, get rid of the old broken down vehicle from soft power and the campaign rhetoric. Go for a second transition team for your next 2 or 3 months in office, and go with the winner. Go with economics, the East-West convergence model in general, and lead the United States and the free world to the real solution. Anyway, I'm Yeshua Yaakov Ben Abraham. I'm the author of the trilogy Humanomics and its central organizing principles, receiving and the new economic paradigm. And that's it. I have no affiliation or association with the government of Israel. I live here in Jerusalem, but it's part of the problem, not part of the solution, as you'll fast find out. And anyway, I thank you for listening, and stay tuned. More to come. Shalom.